It's a brand new year, and you know what that means. Plenty of new releases on the horizon. But wait, did you clear out your backlog this year? You didn't? Well, that's something middle-aged gaming can help with. Help the backlog, that is. That's right, we're here to provide 10 games to add to your backlog in 2025. And if you want to knock them off the list while you're at it, we're not going to stop you. But before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe because watching numbers grow makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. So with that, let's begin. So starting us off with one of my own picks is Windbound. If you've seen some of my streams, you know I love a game with good crafting elements, and Windbound does not disappoint. You'll be able to build your own raft as you take on the high seas and explore island chains while unlocking the history of your people and the divine beasts that cruise the oceans you call home. Now I will say one thing, if you get the chance, try playing an older version of the game, preferably before the final DLC. Well, they call them DLCs, but really they were free patches, and the final one really changed a lot. Previously, the game was a mostly fairly relaxing affair. Sure, you had to manage food stores, and there were a few nasty critters to contend with, but for the most part, if you wanted to just cruise through the game, no pun intended, it was pretty doable. The final DLC, however, added a whole new undead faction, meaning you'll be running into a few cursed islands, and each section of the game is capped with a boss, so a pacifist run isn't quite as doable. Now, admittedly, sometimes the water physics can get a bit sticky, but when you hit that crosswind and really get going, it feels so good. Oh, and did I mention this game actually has wind mechanics? That's right, you're going to need to learn how to sail both with and into the wind, so fans of The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker will feel right at home. Small grievances aside, I loved playing this game and really enjoyed navigating from island to island. So if you get the chance, give Windbound a shot. Or don't, because remember, this is simply a list of games to add to your backlog. We didn't say anything about playing them. Next up is one of Krian's picks, Duck Detective: The Secret of Salami. Who doesn't love a good detective adventure? If you enjoy playing detective, this game will put your power of deduction to the test. Sorry, but my only regret is I can't take credit for that pun. It is in the Steam description. Anywho, I know, deep cut, right? Harkening back to some of the point-and-click mystery games of the past is Duck Detective. Set in a world full of cutesy Paper Mario-esque characters, you're tasked with finding out who stole the precious salami. And you'll be doing that by questioning witnesses and searching for clues to help you collect keywords that can be used to, well, fill in the blanks. Now, the game isn't all that long, maybe around 5 hours or so, but at $3 US, it is well worth the price of admission. Also, the puzzles aren't overly taxing, and the cartoony dialogue make this game great to play with the kids. So if you're looking to fill a family game night or two, can't go wrong with Duck Detective.
Aren't there any other detectives who are actually qualified for the job?
I've been doing very well so far, if I do say so myself.
Next up, from Antoine, we have Teran Nil. So most city builders have you tearing down nature to make room for paved roads and residential zoning. Teran Nil flips that on its head by giving you a toxic, polluted world that you must rehabilitate. Eco-friendly is the name of the game, and you'll be cleaning waterways, restoring grasslands, regrowing forests, and reintroducing once native species. What's better, for those of you looking for a new Zen game to help you relax, this game is geared towards always moving forward. There are no disasters to undo progress or anything like that. Just go at your own pace, rebuild the ecosystem, and bask in the beauty of nature that you have helped return to this broken world. All in all, this is a very chill, relaxing game, and for those of us with hectic, stressful lives, it's a great choice to tell yourself you're going to get around to someday. Coming back round to me again, we have Children of Zodiac. Now, this game does something really fun by marrying a strategy RPG with a deck builder and throwing in some D6s for good measure. And not only do you get to customize your deck, you also get to customize the dice. So if you want to build for damage or defense or activating special effects, knock yourself out. Now, the story is pretty straightforward. Bunch of orphans steal a relic that gives them powers and, well, you've probably pretty much guessed the rest of it. but the gameplay was just so much fun. For me anyway. Reviews are admittedly mixed. Some people just feel there's too many mechanics, but if you're like me, and a lot of people are, then you'll really enjoy the complexity that this game allows. It is a small game though, and I will say my only real problem was that it just left me wanting more. More characters, more classes, more levels, just more. As it is, you're only really going to be focusing on 3 characters, and outside a handful of missions you can farm for experience, you're mostly going to be blazing through the story pretty quickly. And I understand that actually managing 3 characters might feel like a lot for some people. Having to build a deck for, I don't know, like 10 to 16 different characters might seem a little daunting. But honestly, I don't think every game needs to be streamlined. Give me a little nitty gritty. So, like I said, it left me wanting more, but in a good way. Overall, I still had a lot of fun playing this game and would absolutely love a sequel. So why not throw a few bucks Cardboard Utopia's way and add another game to your stack? It's like $15, and I've seen it for less than 5 on sale. Totally worth the price to sit on your shelf collecting dust. Moving around back to Korean, we have Immortals of Avalon. Now, FPSs are a dime a dozen, but Immortals of Avalon is not an FPS, it's an FPW. That's right, a first-person wizard. And how many of those are there out there? Now, it's not that old of a game, but it really felt like it came and went without much fanfare. So little fanfare, in fact, you might not even be aware, but the developer has since disbanded. And that's a shame, because the game is a lot of fun. It's also one of the few FPWs that focus entirely on its single-player campaign. I know, everything is focused on multiplayer these days. Where are my old-school Dooms and Wolfensteins? I mean, okay, both of those franchises are still around, but is this not what we've been asking for? Well, some of us anyway, and believe it or not, this game is actually a lot of fun. Rather than equipping different guns, you'll be equipping different spells, red, blue, and green, each representing chaos, force, or life. And you'll use those spells to fight your way through waves of enemies. But what makes this game unique is that because you're not using guns, which pretty much operate the same way, you know, throwing lead down range, the fact that you can use magic means that different spells operate differently and can have a wide range of effects. All in all, there are 27 different spells to play with, and the variety is a breath of fresh air. So bottle it up and save it for a hazy day. I know we get plenty of those here in Kaohsiung. You see that face? That face says, man, I'd really love to play some Immortals of Avalon right now. I wish someone had told me to add that to my backlog. Well, you don't need to make the same mistake, because we're reminding you right now. Round 2 for Antoine brings us to Star Wars Outlaws, another recent game that a lot of people have overlooked. Everyone makes a fuss over the Jedi and the Sith, but real ones know it's the Mandalorians. But real ones know it's smugglers who are the heart and soul of a galaxy far, far away, which is why it's so weird that there are so few games featuring them. Now, this game did have some issues at launch. Most notably, many people weren't fans of the stealth sections. But guess what? Ubisoft actually listened and patched out some of the rougher spots. Yes, those stealth missions are still there, but no longer are you relegated to only stealth. If you get caught, just go in guns blazing. And that means there's no better time than now to drop into the ultimate FEM solo adventure. And I do mean solo because, once again, no pesky multiplayer in sight. Just pure unabashed stellar exploration. Who knows, you might even see a few familiar faces along the way. So if you've been itching to boot up the old droid and feel the rev of the hyperdrive as you dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge Imperial cruisers, make some space in the old library for Star Wars Outlaws.
I am impressed. Thank you, stranger.
Moving on to our final-ish round, I present to you Gravity Rush. The original game came out on the PS Vita, meaning some of you might be forgiven for allowing it to pass under your radar. But it did get a remaster on the PS4, and what's more, it got a sequel, and a pretty good one at that. Now, for the uneducated, the premise is pretty simple. You control gravity. That's it. Many superheroes fly, but Kat has mastered the art of falling with style. She can also throw stuff around, including the citizens of 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙥𝙪, which are honestly some of the chillest people you'll ever meet. The game does some fun things with time dilation too, but I won't get too heavy into spoilers. Mostly you'll be exploring the city in the clouds while trying to uncover the secrets of another mysterious gravity shifter and eliminating the threat of the globular entities known as the Na'vi, or Na'vi. Navy? No, Na'vi, yes, Na'vi. Anyway, there are some time trials and various other challenges along the way. The second game is largely more of the same, but goes quite a bit more into Kat's past while also adding 2 new gravity shifts, the light and lofty lunar style and the ponderous Jupiter, adding a lot of new gameplay opportunities. All in all, both absolutely great games deserving of your time, or at least your intention to play, so promote them from wishlisted to backlogged this year. Moving on, we have Krian's last pick, Delian Winds. This time, instead of spreading out horizontally across the landscape, you'll be building vertically. And I guess horizontally too, but only in the X dimension, not the Z axis here. In Delian Worlds, you're tasked with caring for a small village at the base of a lighthouse. As such, you'll be able to expand into land, sea, and sky, meeting the demands of all the little critters both living in and visiting your village. And speaking of critters, each species has their own set of skills and blueprints. So as people come and go, you're going to want to capitalize on their strengths and plan for when they continue along their merry journey. Again, this is not a very long game, only about 10 hours or so, but it's a relaxing 10 hours filled with beautiful art, fun, quirky characters, and chill music, making it a great filler game to boot up between more intensive games. It's also only about $10 and frequently on sale, making it a great purchase for the backlog. Wrapping up with Bantuan's final choice, we have The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. If you're unfamiliar with The Witcher, which you really shouldn't be, but just in case, the long and short of it is you play as Geralt, the titular Witcher, as he travels across the land searching for his adopted daughter Ciri, who's being pursued by the Wild Hunt for reasons that will become clear if you play the game, or read the books. But I don't think it's come up in the show yet. I've only seen the first season. What's a Witcher though, you ask? Ah, that's a good question. They are monster hunters, which means, of course, as Geralt, you'll be picking up contracts and hunting down all manner of legendary beasts along the way. Now, admittedly, the combat isn't the best, and there are some scaling issues, but as weird as it is to say, people don't play The Witcher for the gameplay. No, The Witcher is all about the story, and boy, does it run deep. Every choice you make will have some kind of impact, whether it be immediate, down the line, or quite often both. If you're a fan of BioWare games of old, like KOTOR, Dragon Age Origins, or Mass Effect, I guarantee you'll enjoy The Witcher. There's a very good reason this 10-year-old game still comes up in conversations as the gold standard. And don't skip the DLC, both are fantastic. My personal favorite is Hearts of Stone, but I can completely understand why some swear by Blood and Wine. Anyway, definitely pick up The Witcher, and dare I say, actually play this one as soon as you can. And with that, we come to a bit of a conundrum. See, given there's only 3 of us, and at 3 games each, that comes to 9, but 10 is such a nice round number. So you know what? Because this is my video, I'm going to give you a 4th game to add to your list. And for my final pick, I am going with Valkyrie Chronicles. People often ask, what's your favorite game of all time? And me, being indecisive, always respond with, I don't really know if I could pick just one, but you know what pops off the top of my head that you should absolutely play? Valkyrie Chronicles. Coincidentally, a good friend of mine and I even made a deal way back when I would play The Witcher 3 if he would play Valkyrie Chronicles, and neither of us left disappointed. So Valkyrie Chronicles is an SRPG, but it doesn't really play like a lot of the tile-based ones you're used to. On your turn, you're given a set number of commands which you can spend to take control of units around the map, and in third person, maneuver them around the battlefield, attacking, taking or defending key points. And positioning is very important. If you or an enemy have line of sight during another's turn, your units will automatically attack. So finding the best route and securing important key positions can make or break a mission. What I also love about this game is that each character is unique. They're all part of set classes, but everyone has their own set of what are called potentials. These can be both good or bad, and can be triggered by various conditions such as terrain or who else is nearby, if anyone. As you progress though, the characters will grow and some of those negative potentials may transition into positives. All in all, it really makes the whole team feel alive and it makes you care for each and every member of Squad 7. Inevitably though, you're gonna have a few favorites. For me, it was Marina and Wendy.
Sweet dreams. I'm tired. I'll just charge.
Now, Valkyrie Chronicles 1 and 4 are pretty easily accessible, while 2 was only released on the PSP and 3 was only released on the PSP and never even got a Western release. There are ways to play it, but they may or may not be sketchy, so I'm not going to go into them here. But definitely check out Valkyrie Chronicles 1 and 4. And having said that, definitely start with the first one, because 4 adds an entirely new unit type and makes a few quality of life improvements that make going forward a lot easier than going back. And with that out of the way, those are 10 games we recommend adding to your backlog in 2025. But you know what? We actually have backlogs too, and they are mighty, but lacking. So tell us, what are some games you would recommend that we pick up and add to our backlogs? Who knows, I might even stream a few of them this year. No promises though. So with that, I would just like to remind you that if you liked this video, subscribe to our channel for more gaming content in the future. And we wish you a pleasant 2025.